What's up, you guys? So, today we are doing a commentary video on enlightenment, and I'm super excited. So, we're just going to spill the tea because I got some good stuff for you guys, and I'm gonna spill it all, no holding back about everything that I know that is going on in the world right now, and I'm really gonna spill the tea. So make sure you stay tuned, make sure you're paying attention, make sure you're tapped the fuck in. So let's get started with today's video. So I wanted to start off talking about, because okay, this is the thing, right? I always think of this story of when this happened to me, and I'm thinking of this story because I used to always, I don't want to call it burnout, get really bad burnout in my spiritual journey, right? It was more of like, I don't know, like I was just tired, or like not in the mood. It felt like, but that's probably what burnout is for me. But we ended up talking about what was it about? I want to say like distortion, or like disruption. That's what it was. We ended up talking about disruption. Me, my mentor, and some of in a class, right? We were in a class, so um we ended up talking about disruption, right? And how the things in your life will continuously shift when you are adapting and changing because you are growing, right? And that felt so good to hear because I always was kept wondering, why was my life, like shifting all the time, like nothing was sticking, and it felt so weird that I would get used to the routine, the the order of things, and it like would always change. It seemed like exactly right when I would get used to it. So I was realizing that there is something going on with that, right? Little did I know, um, you know, after my mentor poured into me for, you know, enlightenment, right, that I was about to reach an awakening point. Now, keep in mind, this was my second awakening, right? And I didn't realize you could have multiple awakenings in this life if you are tapped in, if you're locked in, and it never gets easier. That's why I don't trust gurus that are always talking about the beautifulness of life and all that, because where where where, because I do not see it, and I just am being honest. Like, it's hard to deal with, and everything around you is always changing. You're always changing and growing. People don't like you, people dismiss you, people treat you like you're shit, and the whole time, people are on the internet acting like they are the shit, right? Like they're just, can't nothing else hype them up more than life. And I don't, I've never experienced that. But this was my second awakening, right? And he was pouring into me that um I was about to reach an awakening point. And I was like, wow, like you taught me so much in this one conversation. It was so crazy, like all the stuff that he was affirming out of me, right? And he looked me after I told him that I had learned so much from that conversation. He's like, well, like you're always learning, and I feel like that's such a good thing because it's rare, right? That people are so interested in learning and so eager to learn. And he looked me in my eyes and he was like, you know what, Jordan? The thing is that when you are called to be set apart, you're not going to fit in many places, and you always seem like you are ready and willing to be set apart. And I was like, wow, that was so deep to me. It was so deep, like my heart sunk, and it felt crazy. Like it felt really insane. And keep in mind, a couple weeks later, I reached an awakening point, and realized that it's continuous. It's the growth, the change, the all of that is continuous, right? To not reach enlightenment once, but to keep reaching enlightenment. So let's get into it. Um, let's talk about it because we are going to get into the reason why we're having this video. But first, we gotta do some groundwork, of course, before we get into the story portion of the teaching. But we're gonna get into all of that, and I'm super excited um, to talk about how truth is that enlightenment is disruption, right? And this will be a good message, but make sure that you guys check out my website if you guys want more information on where are my notes? Oh, right there in front of me. Um, if you guys want more information on you know, anything that I talk about on this portion of the lecture, you can find it on my website. If not, then I will leave a link to the blog where we will definitely have it if it's not on the website. And to just, a reminder to just bookmark the page so you can find it easily. We update the blog all the time. We update the website quarterly, I think a year. So every few months we update the website. We have other lectures that are by um, by similar lectures to the one that you might have listened to or heard, or categorized by chronological order, by genre. I mean, yeah, by like the category of what we talked about. Resources to help you move forward, tools to help you grow, and all of that. But yeah, thank you guys so much again for tuning in. Just want to say thank you. I really appreciate everybody who is, giving attention to my light, because I appreciate it more than I could ever explain, right? But all that to say, let's get started with today's video. So I wanted to start off this um lecture, the beginning of it, with some words of encouragement to just start, because I know it's not easy. I know it is um a challenge that seems never ending, right? Because there's just so many things that keep coming up, so many things that you have to face, so many challenges that you have to take on all at once, right? But my words of encouragement are that it is worth it. It is so worth it, and in the end, you will be grateful that you started this journey, and you will be thankful that you believed in yourself, if even if nobody else believed in you. So I would just want to say that yes, it's a challenge. Trust me, I know, because I get weird comments all the time. Like, people want to hate on me, but they don't just come right out and say they don't like my content. It's so weird. So I just want to give you guys some words of encouragement and start this lecture off with some with me crashing out, right? Because I have to say this, and I will say it again and again and again, because I say what I say and I mean what I say, and I will stand by what the fuck I said, right? But y'all are not speaking life into these people on your platform. Y'all are not caring about their growth and how most of these people feel insignificant. So stop coming for me and what I'm doing, how I care, my intention, my message when you're doing nothing. That's my message to those people because it's so annoying knowing that people, majority, have such negative stuff to say. They have so much negative stuff to say and don't just come out and say it because they're scared, because they want to be political, right? That, and by that I mean they want to throw mud, throw rocks, and hide their hands so they can still look good. It's so annoying and it drives me crazy. But yeah, that's not the point though. The point is that we are talking about caring, right? And actually leveraging your platform and actually using your platform for something good, right? Because not a lot of people choose to do that. It is still rare, it's still valuable, it's still important. Even when it feels insignificant, it is still valuable, it is still important that we see you, we see you, we see you. We definitely see you, okay? But moving on, we're gonna talk on my first point because I got the tea for y'all and I'm ready to spill it. It's gonna be good as I sip my coffee. So my thing is that, you guys need to learn to be more patient. You guys need to learn to be more patient. From what I'm seeing in my community, you guys are spiritual, you got it going, you got everything going for you, but you just can't be patient. And that leads me to my point that, you know, you guys need to become more aware of the fact that you are easily distracted by the wrong things because you don't go and trust the people who never once shown you they can be trusted and give them your trust the same way you don't just go and give people your light and your trust and then trust them with your loyalty, with your discernment, with your love, with your care, and expect them to value your purpose and reason for being on this earth when they have never shown you once, not even once, that they can be trusted with that. Because the truth is, we can't just give away our values, our principles, our purpose, our reasoning for being on this earth with just anybody. And you guys get so distracted and don't pay attention, and lo and behold, you get crossed over and feel stupid, and you're so quick to try to run and go do magic and blame it because your protection spells don't work. Because you prayed and prayed and prayed and something bad still happened. That's not how it worked. And I'm so sorry to spill the tea, but the truth is you can't just go trusting anybody with your values, with your reason. You can't. Especially the people who never prove it that they are worthy of seeing your inner light, which we're going to get to in my next point. But let me explain why I'm saying this because I have noticed in my community that join the private Facebook group on Facebook. It's great. we are a bunch of slow people in a Facebook group. I was gonna say something else, but I'm not allowed to. But we are always communicating with each other, but it seems like when it's time to communicate with the people in our lives, everybody's hit the brakes so hard. They hit the brakes so hard. And a part of me wants to be like, of course they did, because communication is the first step. Of course they're gonna hit the brakes because they just entered a whole new room and didn't know they entered a whole new room. Right? Right? You would think that, right? But the other part of me wanted to be like, no, correct that. Correct them, show them, teach them, and then guide them. Don't just throw them out there with that information. I can only imagine. I was thrown out there with no information. That's how I was born. Um, I and so I got a lot of backlash. Everybody was so hard to deal with, even from one-on-ones to making a group announcement. Right, you guys need to be communicated. Communication is so important. I wonder why that's important. Like, like I didn't just go, you know, but it's the fact that they just really do not want to do it. They don't, and then it's like you are in a brand new room. You have a reputation to keep. You have to present yourself. You have to show up for yourself. You have to learn something while you're in this space, and they don't even know that they're in this space being goofies. And I encourage them to be goofies because life is way too serious. Life is way too serious. So I do not want to be hyper, serious with them. But man, you guys need to learn. Communication is the first step. You are not going to get past anything else until you learn to communicate. The fact that you need to be open about so let me explain it like this. Let me explain it like this. Because you are giving your light away, you're giving your trust away, you're giving your purpose away. Why? Why? You need to be asking yourself, why? Because you know it leads to heartache. Because you know it leads to hurt. Because you know it leads to you learning that those people didn't have grace for you where you expected them to have grace for you. Why are you giving people your light and trusting them with your values and purpose when they've never shown you that they can be trusted with all of you? What is really going on? You need to have that conversation with yourself, because you are going to reach a point if you do it right. I don't even know. I'm not going to even go there with the universe. The universe not to go. Not to go there with me. I'm spilling the tea right now, because you are going to come to a point when you are wondering why you're so afraid, why the challenges are scaring you, why you're having a hard time trusting, why you really don't understand divinity. Because it's not just for anybody, you guys. And if it is for you, you would protect it rather than give it away, which is a totally different point. We're going to have to come and talk about that later on. Why are you giving it away for people to hurt it? Why are you giving it away for people to hurt you? So, moving on to the next point. I like that noise. So, moving on to the next point, because this is vital, right? Um, I I feel like this is important to say, and this is tea within itself if you think about what I'm going to tell you. But imagine, from my point of view, what I'm not saying, because I'm not going to be the type of person to just give you the information. I'm not going to be the type of person to just flat out say it. You have to go and figure it out for yourself, okay? So just imagine what I'm not saying. But why do we dim our voices? Why do we dim our light for people when we know we don't even care what they think? And I know that's so petty if you think about it. Like, that was something petty to say. He built all that up just so he could say something ridiculous. But it's the truth. And that is a real question that we need to be deconstructing. We need to be asking questions about it. Why do we dim our voices for people we know for a fact, 100% of reality, that you don't mess with that person, and you're handing them over your inner light. You're giving away your voice to people who are not going to take care of it, right? Because we can be so quick to put, this is team, we can be so quick to put out our voice for people we don't even care about. What? So the truth is, we need to start building and building something that is important to us, because newsflash, time will run out. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care what you have learned. I don't care what you have been taught. Newsflash, this life will come to an end. And there is nothing for certain on the other side. And you are wasting time building and building and telling everybody every step of what you're creating, so they can throw rocks at your beautiful glass mansion that is not done yet. Okay? Pay attention. Because when we are building and building and building and giving away our secrets, giving away how it works, giving away our structures, giving away our systems, you know what that does? It builds way for harm. And no amount of protection or prayers or whatever you do can save you from opening yourself up to it. Make it make sense. That's T. Um, and yes, that is a petty question to ask, but we are quick to put out our own voice in the process. Maybe they are right. Maybe their opinion did matter. I should go back and fix it. Dimming your voice, trying to put out your own light. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Because you you might not imagine, right? You might not imagine the fact that I was once a very strong believer of in Christianity, a follower of Jesus. And to this day, that still has impacted my life in ways that I won't forget, because I remember it as when I finally took control over my life and put myself in a church once a week. That changed to twice a week. That changed to 3 times a week. To me leading, to me interning at that church. I didn't work for that church, but I thought I was going to. So I still very, very much see that impact as something to take from. Discipleship. How Jesus taught people to think for themselves and to follow God recklessly and aimlessly, to praise Him for the good and the bad. Discipleship. So you could see it as buying an online course, but in my head, it could be something different. I'm not gonna necessarily, give away my secrets. But that's team that I think we need to stop opening ourselves up to the bad, to the hard stuff, to the challenges, if we're gonna complain about it. If we're gonna complain about it, we need to learn to shut up and get through it. We need to learn to put up or shut up. We need to learn that everything has a structure and how to shut shit down when shit needs to be shut down. I'm sorry. It's the truth. When was the last time you shut something down? When was the last time you pulled up and everybody could feel your presence? When was the last time you opened yourself up and people came without you having to chase or attract? It's time for that. It's time for that. It's time for that. It's time for that. I'm getting so far into it. I just want to say, lastly, for that part, that we, well, okay, because that was a perfect segue into my next point. So just put a pin in it for right now. But I really, really deeply feel like this is important, or I wouldn't, go on a tangent, a side tangent. But we put out our own voice because we are considerate. Okay, we need to stop calling it empathy and start calling it what it is. I considered your opinion when I shouldn't have. That's what entropy is. That is the truth. That's what entropy is. I considered your feelings, your opinions. I considered your thoughts. I added your idea when it was stupid from the beginning. So we need to start getting it together, because good things are going to come, and one of two things are going to happen. Either good things are going to come and you're going to make it hard for yourself doing those good things, or good things are going to come and you're not going to even recognize it. And newsflash, either way, it will be because of your own self undoing. Okay, okay, I have to move on because I wasn't even supposed to go on that side tangent, but I had to because I feel like it was important. Don't make it hard for yourself. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. And you got it. If you believe in the plan's gonna believe in you, and that is all that matters. That's all that matters. How do you think I got this far to teaching and doing lectures and the essays and the commentary and video essays and the website and the blog. I didn't just wake up one day and start throwing shit at the internet. I wrote it out and planned it out and stuck to my vision.
Oh, sorry. What's up, you guys? So we're doing sort of we're starting a series. First of all, that's where I'm supposed to start. Sorry. My head's a little all over the place. So we're doing some series. We're doing a transformation series, which is what we're talking about today. We're starting that one. And then the day after the second part comes out of the third part, I'm tripping. The third part comes out, we are going to start a growth series, and then we're going to do probably like a inspo series after that. So we're talking about the transformation series today. um, let's get into it. I'm super excited. Let's get into it. I'm pumped and ready. So um, I honestly, you know what, I honestly want to talk to you guys because I think that when it comes to being spiritual, there's starting to become so many labels and bullshit that's going on right now. I don't know what is really going on, but I think that we need to be careful of labels and what we believe in, because for a really long time, you know, I tell that story a lot. I used to be a Christian. I thought that I was going to be a pastor. I went through a really, really deep deconstruction um, of my religion when I was 26. I ran from God, and I didn't become a pastor. I didn't get into any college I accepted. I was broke, working a job I hated for 6 years, you guys. 6 years. And I was basically, I just was never planning to look back at that again. Um, Even though for the entire span of that 6 years, I was always thinking about it. And now that I'm looking back on it, I'm realizing that, I don't think I was reflecting the correct way. So I need to start evaluating how I'm reflecting. And I want you guys to hold me accountable for that. You guys really, really got to hold me accountable for that. Because it wasn't so much of like what I need to do, what I need to work on within myself. It was more of just like me feeling sorry for myself in a sense of like in the back of my head, I was always arguing with myself on what I should be doing with my life, which led to my midlife crisis at 26. Um, and it was like always this argument in my subconscious, right? So that would always make me feel down. Yeah, like if you knew me in 2020, 2021, I was always the sad, yeah, I was always, the sad person, the sad one, right? I was always depressed about something. And despite me not moving like I was depressed, despite me acting like I wasn't depressed, I was depressed. I was sad as hell. So that makes me wonder, like, what did I think I had going on to, you know, be able to just counteract, like, me being so fucking sad about the fact that my life was falling apart. Still, 6 years later, I went through a lot of struggles and I was swearing I'm not gonna go back. But the way I was reflecting was still, you know, feeling down about myself, not looking back at the problems and fixing each one in the present moment, you know? But I think I'm past that now. I think now I'm in a place where I need to be planning actively, right? So preparing for those things and not fixing the problem, but getting better at the problem is how I need to approach it. So I want you guys to hold me accountable for that. I don't know, man. I don't know. It was just really hard for me. It was very hard for me. I'm not going to lie. And then the deconstruction process was not great. It was not great, but we're not going to get into that. But after the deconstruction, right, I was going through like intense. That's going to be our word of the day, intense. I was going through this intense, you know, struggle. I mean, I didn't know how to deal with that challenge. So today we're talking about transformation because I am kind of prideful now that I think about it, and I think I know why, but I am not for certain how I think I am. Because it's not that obvious. I think, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the chat, you guys. Welcome to the chat. I think, honestly, my spiritual transformations um, have been very deep and very meaningful, which is a thing that happens, right? But it doesn't happen for everybody. So I think that brought me pride in my change and my growth. But at the same time, I'm wondering, like what did I do to be prideful of that? What was I doing to be prideful of that? I don't know. I was just very overly excited to have something different in my hands, something that was for me, when my whole life has been a lot of struggle. I learned recently a lot of people, hello, a lot of people have to figure out that their life is not going to turn out how they want it. Y'all are so funny in the chats. Um, y'all are so funny. I don't know what was really going on to make me prideful. I don't know what it was. But what I do know is that I feel like there is, I think for the fact that I knew, because it got really deep. I was praying through the night, right? I was having, I call them crash outs because they weren't really breakdowns, because I feel like a crash out is more has more emotion than a breakdown, right? A breakdown, like you're sitting down and crying, right? I was having to continue my life and just weeping and being sorrowful, right? I had so much grief. A part of me also felt like I didn't want to deal with that because I had worked out so much grief in my childhood, and it took me, 27 years to heal from all the stuff that I was actively learning. I didn't stop cutting until, excuse me, I didn't stop self harming until I was 21. I was like 23. Let's be for real. I was addicted because I felt like it helped me cope. That was my deepest coping mechanism. I was thinking about that when I was deconstructing, praying all night long, crying every morning before I would get up and go to work, but still, cleaning my house and taking a shower and cooking for myself and feeding myself, crying the entire time. And then I will pull myself together while I drove there, and nobody, well, they could tell, but they didn't know. Like, does that make sense? So that really makes me want to evaluate my idea of what I think transformation is. But yeah, so I think we're talking in the context of, like, not like self reflection or like self evaluation, right? But in terms of improvement, right? Just for some loose context, what, because you know what? Like, thinking about it, besides the fact that, I did grow and change from that, because I'm going to get to that. Besides the fact that I did grow and change from that, I don't think that those transformations were, I don't want to say good enough, but I don't think that I learned from it. Does that make sense? I don't think I learned from it. I think it takes for you to understand the situation and why you went through it, right? Or you repeat the cycle. But I also didn't think to evaluate in productive ways. I don't think I did. I think I was like, you know, thinking about myself, because like the thing about it is like when you're in danger or you're scared, right, or doubtful, you do it. You thrive in those situations because you're thinking about you rather than thinking about the situation, the experience of it, why you feel those emotions, why you were put in those emotions. Why were you put in those emotions? And I know you guys don't want to hear about my story, but I feel like that is the perfect, you know, that's the perfect example in my head. So I was like, thinking about it, and I was like, I never thought about those experiences except for my experience to evaluate those situations, right? What's up, guys? What's up? Thank you, guys. We got 1,320 people in the chat. Sorry. Thank you, guys. That's what's up. Um, I don't know because yes, I made the mistakes, but my life wasn't working out how I planned out already. So was I wrong for considering that my life is spiraling? I don't understand what outcome or expectation you would expect me to have when I was already depressed, when I was already socially anxious. I was, going through it all like every day, all day for years, not just a short, 2 years, not 3 years, not 5 years, for a long time. So what would you expect my outcome to be? To just be like, oh, I can pop out of it and then just magically levitate on my problems? Like, I don't understand. But at the same time, that's not what I'm, like, that's not the point. I think the point for me is more of why did people expect so much from me in my time of need? I've never been in need of anything before that. But people sure could, you know, apply themselves when it didn't matter. I guess I never explained that. I never explained it. But yeah, I think um, to the point, because we're just gonna jump into it. Sorry, I got distracted. While I was waiting for people to come into the chat. Um, I think, I don't know. I think it's easy to self-evaluate. It's easy to self-reflect. I'm always encouraging y'all to reflect on other people's actions as one as well. But I don't think that that is a good context for transformation. What I want to talk about, the first part of this series, I want to talk about the idea of um, not evolution, not yet, but like self improvement, the idea of improving yourself. Because, one time um, I had a cousin, he lived with me because his mom told him he couldn't stay, right? Um, Keep in mind, he had just moved with her um, back to our hometown in Arkansas, and he had to come all the way back. We had been in the same school or the same schools since middle school, since the beginning of middle school. And it was our last year of high school. He had graduated, luckily, so it wasn't, you know, him getting unrooted again. But he had to come stay with us. That was hard for him. So I think, him pulling his life together, getting a job, um, he had started working, and he didn't stay with us for another year before he moved out, got his own apartment. That must have been hard for him. That must have been really hard for him to get, unrooted from everything that he was used to, everything he knew, to go back home, right? But we, I remember once we got into an argument because he was acting selfish. He was just being really selfish and undeserving of everything that he had got, right? And he had told me literally a couple of days before then that he he wanted to continue to go no contact with his mom, but at the end of the day, you know, he she kept trying to put herself in his life. I mean, that's good in my opinion because our moms are very similar. And my mom did not try to insert herself back into my life when I went no contact with her. I'm still in no contact with my mom, with my parents, with my brother. I can't do it. So I was thinking, when we got into that argument, he was telling me that they were coming from Arkansas to visit for the holidays. And that whole day, he was just acting so weird. And I remember that making me think, like, did he not learn anything from what he had went through? Did he not learn anything from it? Because, having to get up off your feet again, get back up on your feet again when you were knocked down twice, three times in a row, like he had been. That's crazy. That's crazy to think about that he just, oh, that's life. And I love him. I love him a lot. He's probably my closest family member. And he feels like in our family, he feels the safe, like he feels the most like a safe place to me. More than my own brother, more than my own mom. I just, couldn't rely on him to grow up. But the reason I used that example is because that is a perfect example. That's a perfect example because he did have to grow up. That was the situation. And literally, he grew up, had to get back on his feet, had to get a job, had to get his own place to stay, had to pay for rent. Now he had to buy his own food. He had to get back and forth to work and put gas in his car. But he did not grow up. He did not grow up. So I think there's to go on a tangent, I'm sorry. I think that there's evaluating self and there's evaluating the situation, evaluating in self-reflection in looking at the situation and asking why or how, right? Even the difference between asking why am I in this situation, why did this fall into place? It's totally different from asking how do I get out of it the right way? It's crazy because I'm interviewing right now, right? And because of my old job, I already do not want to serve tables. I feel like that part of my life is done, it's over with. But interviewing at these restaurants is really showing me, my what I really thought and felt about it because, the interview process, they want you to jump through hoops, right? Y'all understand that. They want you to jump through hoops. And I'm not going for it. I'm not going for it. But I understand part of it, but deep down in me, I'm not gonna let go of the fact that I'm not willing to jump through hoops. So you know what that is? That's me learning to put boundaries in place. Because if I accept a job that I don't really want, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna end up at another miserable ass job with miserable ass people hating on me because they hate themselves, like I did the last time. Now you see how instead of me being like, I don't want to jump through hoops no more. Da 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 da. I'm being like, it's teaching me to put boundaries in place, how to be firm with my boundaries, how to say no because no is enough is a complete sentence without having to over explain myself to the universe or to another person. I don't care. I don't. So you have to think about it because it really does make sense in a way that that is an answer. That is your answer. That's an answer. It's about how you look at it. Because you could be going through it and asking yourself, how, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? How can I fix this? How can I make it better for me? Instead, when you need to be asking yourself, why is it this way? Why am I in this place? What is my purpose here? Why do people, facilitate or harbor this environment that I now have to deal with? Why does it matter to me? Does that make sense? I think that there's a time and a place where you have to be for real with yourself because you are not going to be able to see the bigger picture until you are honest with yourself. And we all need to be looking at the bigger picture, right? Looking at the bigger picture to figure out why these things have power in the first place. Why do these things fall on people, certain people, the way that they do? That's what it's about. And we need to be paying attention to that. Another thing that we need to talk about, we need to talk about the transformation being genuine. Because your transformation does not look like my transformation. And my transformation won't look like yours in my head or your head. It's going to look different to everybody from everybody's different perspective. And then what's really going on and what we think is going on. And then what's actually happening. That's not me saying, that's not me saying, that there is your side of the story, my side of the story, and the truth. Because I don't necessarily believe in that. But what I am saying is that there is a defining outlier that needs to be acknowledged. There are defining, what's it called when you, the cause. of the event that determine the outcome that need to be evaluated. But I am going to say this, that, your transformation is um, something that you should value, because transformation and growth are not easy to come by for many people. So I should be grateful and blessed that I got to grow out of that, that I got to transform my mind, my body, my spirit, either one or all three, or whatever the case may be. It could be so glorious. But at the same time, it needs to be genuine. Moving on, moving forward, we need to be talking about the transformation. We need to be talking about the transformation, because y'all already know, y'all hear me say this all the time in my content. Y'all aren't tired of self-evaluating, of improving, of evaluating circumstance and experience, but not evaluating the good things. Because take that and push it all aside. That's not even what I'm talking about. The same way that we need to be evaluating and self-reflecting ourselves and other people, we need to be doing that for the good, the blessings, the transformation, the improvement, the growth, the perspective change. Other than that, what are we doing? That is the purpose of things like profit culture that exist only because that is a truth. I can't explain that. It's divine. But if you guys don't want to participate, you're gonna get stuck, because that is tipping the balance of the divine. And the source is gonna see it as you don't even care about keeping a balance, about a balance, about if a balance is even real. The source, the universe, they're gonna see you as selfish. Wake up to the blessing around you, yours, theirs, ours, all of it. You guys do not understand. I wish somebody would tell me about their blessing if it was genuine and real transformation, because I don't care about you feeling any type of way about anything, good or bad. I want the transformation, the growth. Maybe I need to accept or learn that I'm in it on my own, but I can't be, because groups like Profit Culture in Designed by Light, groups like Stance Culture, all of those. I mean, Stance Culture. I'm so stupid. Stance Nation. Wow, I should just stop talking. Because groups like Stance Nation and Profit Culture and Designed by Life, like, I'm not gonna get it right, but you get the point. They exist because That is the truth. Because that is a divine thing. Y'all want to capitalize and capitalize and capitalize. But sometimes that is not the right path. You guys are lost and don't want to admit it and want to for a world that you don't belong to. What? Let's talk about it. Stop settling for that world. Because money and power and fame, feelings, let's get into it. The nitty gritty. When in reality, you need virtue. That's a lot of y'all's problem. Y'all don't have no virtue. None. None. And then the people that do are stingy and ugly. Share your blessing. Tell your story. Tell your story. They're telling their stories on you and me and Profit Culture and Stance Nation and Design. I still can't get through it. Designed by the light. And they're not true. And your story does not have to be louder or better or more confident, have more money, have more power, have more authority. It needs to have virtue. It needs to have value. But anyways, the next thing we're gonna talk about is vision for transformation. Y'all know how I get it is. So let's get into that, and then I'm getting off this live. We got like 400 more people in the chat since the last time I checked. That's good. We had a lot of people last night. I wonder why. So, so where do you want to be now after all of the groundwork has been laid that you didn't have control over? Where do you want to go now? Y'all would be surprised. You would be surprised. I thought I was going to preach. I'm investing and trading and still preaching. It just takes being realistic. You just need to be realistic. Just be real. Authenticity is the best thing that you can have other than knowing that your power is in your presence, your essence. Other than that, you need to be authentic. Be real. Just be freaking for real. Just be for real. How people gonna know it's good if you don't have no story in it? I became a spiritual coach and didn't know where to go, what to do. And I've been a spiritual coach for a year and a half. And it has been good to me. It has been great to me. Better than I could have even imagined. But I don't even have to tell y'all my story. That's crazy how you don't have to tell the story. We're sitting here wondering, asking people, are you really blessed? Do you really feel blessed? Do you really love yourself? Is it true? You getting money? You think them niggas really here with you? And I said, hell yeah. We asking, but we would have seen it if it was real. And that's what I want you to take from this live. We would have seen it if we known. I mean, we would have seen it if it was real. If it was there. If it really existed, we would have known. But y'all want to sleep on it, so I let them sleep. And that don't have nothing to do with you. Don't have nothing to do with me. But we have the proof where they don't. Now what? I'm asking you. And if you feel activated, you feel charged up, you feel mad, scared, or doubtful, act on it. My email is perfect, PERFECT, circles with the Z at the end instead of an S, CIRCLEZ 90 in 90 at gmail.com. You can email me. And if you want, I'll give you my phone number. You can get the newsletter. The link will be in the description. If you feel activated, if you feel mad enough to do something about it, get mad, stay mad, and do something about it. This is profit culture. You know where you can find me. My spiritual journey has been so blessed. Like everything has been blurry. I never thought I would have got to that. I became a life coach. It just started being fucking delusional at that point. I could not believe it. And it was all out. I couldn't see, I couldn't speak it or verbalize it, but I felt it. I felt it. After all that stuff I talked about at the beginning of the live, because all I wanted was to feel something. All I wanted was to feel something. So I want to encourage you guys to just be authentic. Because that will help you. And it's not about pulling people in, attracting people, you know, getting people's attention. It's about the joy of knowing what you can work on, what you can fix, what you can build, what you can scale. Sorry, I was looking at my friend request. Somebody tagged me in something too. So if you guys really feel some type of way about it, share anything and it will help. It's that simple and it's that good, it's that great. And if it changes, I will tell you. If it doesn't, you will know. You'll probably know if it changes. It won't though. It might. It could. It's not my place to say. You know it's not. But it is my place to speak on it. And with those things, it takes nothing to breathe life from those things. It takes nothing. This channel, this Facebook group page, my live stream accounts could all be blank. They could all have nothing on it. But still, people could use profit culture as a source to know that that is truth, to know that that happened, to know that that was a reference from something they believed in. What? With a blank account. And we need that. Imagine the power of a story. Please, somebody. Please. But anyways, um, with vision.
What's up, you guys? We are back again for another video, and today we are doing a story time. What's good? So, listen, I need everybody to sit down for this story because this one is one of those moments in life where your brain decides to become a stand-up comedian at the worst possible time. So, picture this. It's like 11:30 at night. I'm driving home. I'm tired, hungry. Spiritually, I'm 70% a chicken nugget at this point, and I'm trying to exist peacefully and just get home so I can get to my bed. Then suddenly, blue lights. Now listen, when those lights come on behind you, time slows down. Your brain goes through every stage of grief simultaneously, right? And your first thought is, okay, maybe he's gonna pass me. Second thought, okay, he's not going past me. And your third thought, all right, cool, cool, cool. My ancestors are watching me this time. They're watching me right now. So I pull over. I'm calm. I'm respectful. I'm doing everything you're supposed to do. Hands on the wheel, window down. I'm sitting there like a driver education mannequin, right? The officer walks up and does the classic line, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Now, for most people, this is a normal question. But for some reason, in my brain, something snapped into debate mode because I had to just spend like 3 hours online watching people argue about social justice, community, accountability, ethics, systemic stuff. Like my brain was full of Twitter philosophy. So when he said, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" my brain translated that question into, "Would you like to snitch on yourself?" And before I could stop myself, I said, "Officer, respectfully, I'm not really comfortable with self snitching." Now, let me explain something. The moment those words left my mouth, I could feel the universe pause with a loud record scratch. The officer just stared at me like he had just heard the dumbest TED talk of his life. And he goes, "Excuse me?" And now my brain, instead of shutting up like a normal human being, decided that this is the moment to double down. So I say, "Yeah, I mean, I'm from I'm from the hood, so we don't snitch. That's policy." And now the officer looks deeply confused. Like he's trying to figure out if I'm joking or if I'm about to start a podcast right here on the spot. And he says, "Sir, I'm asking you if you know why I stopped you." And I said, "Right, but that sounds like an investigation." And I don't know why I said that. I've never used the phrase investigation. That sounds like an investigation in my entire life. But now it's out there. Now the officer looks like he's just opened an email that says, "Per my last message," and he already hates the rest of this conversation. And he sighs and goes, "Sir, were you speeding?" And I go, "What if I already know? Why do you need me to tell you?" Which is, by the way, apparently not the right move. Because now the officer leans down and he's looking at me. Is this guy gonna do philosophy? And then he asks me, "Is this guy doing a philosophy major right now?" And I'm sitting here thinking, "Why am I doing this? Just say no, officer. Just be normal." But no, my brain decides to continue the no snitching lecture. So I say, "Look, I feel like you want me to snitch on myself. Tomorrow, I'm snitching on my friends. And next week, I'm writing Yelp reviews about my barber." And the officer just goes, "Sir, just sir." Not even a sentence, just a word, sir, with the energy of someone reconsidering his entire career choice. Then he hits me with the most devastating line possible. He says, "Sir, I had you on radar." In that moment, my moral philosophy collapsed like a cheap lawn chair. Because suddenly my brain goes, "Oh, so this conversation was optional." Like I thought he was debating justice, but this man already had the receipts. So now I'm sitting here like a defeated philosopher, which they all are. I handed him my license. He walked back to his car, and in the car, I'm just reflecting on my life choices that led me here. Like, wow, I really just tried to outlogic a radar gun. 5 minutes later, he comes back, hands me a ticket, and as he's walking away, he turns back and says, "Next time, just answer the question." Then he walks off, and I'm sitting there holding this ticket thinking, I just got fined because I started a sociological podcast during a traffic stop. And the worst part is, as I'm driving away, my brain is still trying to justify it. Like, well, maybe technically I wasn't wrong, but deep down, I know. Sometimes in life, the smartest thing you can do is not accidentally accuse a police officer of being a professional snitch. Anyways, that's a story of how I turned a $90 speeding ticket into a 20-minute ethical debate on the side of the road. And that officer, he probably went home that night and told his coworkers, "Yeah, today I pulled over a guy who tried to explain the philosophy of not snitching." And honestly, fair. That's fair. I deserve that.